All right, folks, thanks for joining us for another great episode of Lunch with Doug. Today, we're going to be talking about the enchanting tale of the Lake Park Springs, and we're going to get to that in just a minute, but I do want to announce one of our newest sponsors is Karen McNair, the friendly neighborhood nutritionist, folks. Karen McNair. Call her 269-267-4844 for nutrition counseling. She's fantastic, folks, and she's new on the block, so give her a holler. We'll be back in a minute with our episode of Lunch with Doug coming up.
The Lunch with Doug podcast is produced by the Music Exurbia Project, and this episode is made possible by these area sponsors: the Bell's Marketplace and Second Edition Shop at 500 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri; the Bistro at 1249 South Garrison Avenue in Carthage, Missouri; the Harry Frog Graphics, 150 North Commercial Street, Nevada, Missouri, or call them at 417-381-1077; the Main Square Cafe, 121 North Main Street, Nevada, Missouri; the Gamers Fusion, 617 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri; the Verco Apparel, 112 North Cedar Street, Nevada, Missouri; the Impact Graphics, 417-283-2056, or find them on Facebook, Impact Graphics Mo; the Nevada Tobacco and Liquor Store at 125 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri, now open on Sundays; the Nana Marie's at 121.5 North Main Street, Nevada, Missouri; the Nevada Coin, 123 East Cherry Street, Nevada, Missouri. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper. Thank you for spending your lunchtime with me.
All right, folks, welcome back to another great episode of Lunch with Doug. I'm your host, Dangerous Doug Harper, and today we're going to be talking about the enchanting tale of Lake Park Springs, a.k.a. Radio Springs Park, folks. The story of Lake Park Springs, nestled in the heart of good old Nevada, Missouri, is a captivating blend of history, legend, and transformation. This tale begins with the Osage Indian legend and unfolds over centuries, each chapter penned by a different steward of the land. All right, the legend and the discovery, fame of the magic water from what is now called Radio Springs, all started from an Osage Indian legend. Pawhuska, a renowned tribal chief, was told of the brown water that flowed from the rock in the cliff. His people discovered the spring while searching for the fountain of youth. They drank of the waters and they were made well. This legend has passed down from generation to generation for many years. They were there way before white man had settled. The birth of the Artesian Well and Park Company happened in 1888. A local business people saw the need for a recreational area, and thus the Artesian Well and Park Company was born. They drilled a well, and while drilling it, the ground shook, and a boom, and a blast of water shot 10 feet in the air. Less than a year later, a lake had formed, sidewalks were laid, trees were planted, buildings were built to accommodate the many boats and tourists that will soon appear. The company advertised the healthful advantage of the park offered its visitors. Okay, next, the era of Colonel Harry C. Moore. In 1892, Colonel Harry C. Moore bought the property for $10,000 and immediately changed the name to Lake Park Springs. During the next 20 years, he spent thousands and thousands of dollars developing it with new concrete walks, a great amphitheater, and every summer, Chautauqua was held, and I believe they even called the lecture hall that. And they had various talent groups, singers, dancers, road shows, and famous celebrities perform to capacity crowds, including the one and only William Jennings Bryan. Boom, folks, boom. The Simeon West era. All right, in the fall of 1910, a man named Simeon West arrives in Nevada, Missouri. West was a wealthy individual from Illinois, had a keen interest in spiritualism and magnetic healing. And of course, at the time, Nevada was very well known for these practices, attracting West to further his knowledge and experience. He enrolled in the Weltimer Institute, of course, a prominent institution in Nevada and in the field. And during his time at the Institute, West heard Professor Weltimer express a desire to own Lake Park Springs. Inspired by this, West purchased the springs. Bear this in mind, West had only been in town for 3 weeks. He buys the springs from Colonel Moore for $30,000, and remarkably, just 4 days later, on September 28th, 1910, he signs it over to Sidney Weltimer and the Weltimer Institute. Under the direction of Ernest Weltimer, Sidney's son, the Institute began to develop the park. They attempted to tap into the celebrated spring waters, hopefully to force it to flow through a pipe. However, nature did not agree with their plans, and the famous brown waters, discovered years before by the Osage Indians, ceased to flow. So, faced with the disappointment of the springs, the transportation issues, and a halt on Weltimer's mail, the Institute found the park impractical. They returned it to Simeon West just 2 years later in 1912. West then owned it for the next 10 years. While he owned it, at some point he named it, and he may have named it before the Weltimers that had it. We're a little unclear on when the name happened to change to Radio Springs. Some say it happened as early as 1908. And so maybe people were referencing it as Radio Springs as a slang, and then they officially became Radio Springs there around 1910 or maybe later during the time of West. Anyway, West renamed the park, Radio Springs, as a nod to the supposed radioactive properties of the water. The term radio in Radio Springs Park refers to radionuclides, indicating that there is a small amount of naturally occurring radium in the groundwater around Nevada, Missouri, which is true. And he also named the artesian well the Fountain of Zelda. That's cool. Way before the video game. I don't know where Zelda came from, but that's a cool name. The Fountain of Zelda. Despite the challenges, the park continued to draw large crowds, with the annual Old Settlers Picnic for war veterans frequently bringing in more than, folks, are you sitting down, more than 4,000 people each year to the park. That's fantastic. That is huge. The Electromagnetic Health Association and Beyond years started in 1920 when the Electromagnetic Health Association, under the leadership of Dr. L.C. Hornshoe, took the reins. Despite a lot of high talk, there were no significant developments during this period. A mere 2 years later, Harry Copley assumed ownership, leasing part of the park to a group of golfers led by George Few. That part of the park was south of the railroad tracks, which now you know as the Country Club Golf Course. Well, they started golfing there, leasing it at first, and then the baton was passed to Sam Carter in 1926. And following his death in 1938, his wife carried on the legacy, overseeing innovative changes. One, such as the construction of the groundbreaking swimming pool that you all have heard about. There was literally a swimming pool built within the lake. They drained the lake, and then they built this swimming pool inside the lake, and then the lake filled back up, right? Or they filled it back up. So it wasn't just any swimming pool. It was the first of its kind, and it was the first of its kind in the nation, okay? So you can imagine the excitement and anticipation as the community watched this marvel of engineering take shape. The pool offered a new way to enjoy the lake, blending the natural beauty of the surroundings and the convenience and safety of a man-made pool. It was a testament to the spirit of innovation and the progress that defines this era. She also facilitated the sale of the golf course property to the country club. The park continued to evolve in 1948 with the sale of what is now known as Bill Hill. They sold that to Cotty College. The Bills funded it. Finally, in 1955, Bob Crawford purchased the lake property from the Carter family, and he's the one that everybody remembers. He had the band, the house that they used to have band concerts at out on the lake, and he still ran the the swimming pool, and then eventually the park now maintained by the city of Nevada, Missouri. And each of the hands that have brought it to the new vision, new direction, and new life to the park, we see the accumulation of these efforts, a testament to the dedication and passion to those who have stewarded this land over the years. And as we walk through the park now, we're walking through a piece of history, a story told in trees, trails, and tranquil waters. If I could speak, the park lives on, a silent storyteller, whispering tales of the past to those who take the time to listen. It continues to be a great place to see such as things as the lights on the lake during the holiday season, and a place to picnic throughout the year. And I love Radio Springs Park, aka Lake Park Springs. Go visit it in good old Nevada, Missouri very soon. It's at the end of College Street. Just keep on going down College Street south until you see its wonderful amazement. That is all for today's episode of Lunch with Doug, folks. Thanks for joining me and spending your lunchtime with me.
The Lunch with Doug podcast is produced by the Music Exurbia Project, and this episode is made possible by these area sponsors: the Bell's Marketplace and Second Edition Shop at 500 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri; the Bistro at 1249 South Garrison Avenue in Carthage, Missouri; the Harry Frog Graphics, 150 North Commercial Street, Nevada, Missouri, or call them at 417-381-1077. The Main Square Cafe, 121 North Main Street, Nevada, Missouri. The Gamers Fusion, 617 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. The Verco Apparel, 112 North Cedar Street, Nevada, Missouri. The Impact Graphics, 417-283-2056, or find them on Facebook, Impact Graphics Mo. The Nevada Tobacco and Liquor Store at 125 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri, now open on Sundays. The Nana Marie's at 121.5 North Main Street, Nevada, Missouri. The Nevada Coin, 123 East Cherry Street, Nevada, Missouri,